Day 3. Holy Mary, Mother of Hope, listen to the impatience of young people.
The prospect of a future almost without end is the young person's outlook, venturing into the world with the life he or she has, made up of dreams, resources and energies, like some wonderful promise that does not want to disappoint. This hope of theirs can be spent in the company of Jesus of Nazareth along the road of age and eternity.
Application. One evening, a group of youngsters around the bonfire asked, "What is the secret of life?" "There is a well that has the answer," said the old campground janitor. The night breeze was gentle, so the youngsters decided to go there. When they got there, they put the question to the well. The reply echoed from out of the depths. "Go to the village square. You will find what you are looking for there." Filled with hope, they obeyed, but they only found 3 shops at the place indicated. One sold wire, another sold strange wooden shapes, and the third sold pieces of metal. Disappointed, the youngsters went back to the well, asking for an explanation. "In the future you will understand," it replied. It was late at night when they were joined around the bonfire by a young man with a shapeless backpack. He pulled out a sitar and began to play. The music was overwhelming, vibrant, inspired. Fascinated, the youngsters shouted with joy. They had understood. The sitar was made of wire, pieces of metal, and wood, like what they had seen in the shops in the square, and that they had not thought were particularly meaningful.
Rector Major's comment. Our world needs people who dream together with God about the meaning and fulfillment of their lives. God has a personal plan for each of them, to guide them and urge them to look ahead. It is the task of each member of the Salesian family to be committed to accompanying the energy young people carry in their heart. Because, as Pope Francis says, they must not be robbed of hope. In a world in which one does not always find the logic or dynamic that is favorable to it. Today's young people, like those of all times and places, await a friendly hand to help them grow and fulfill themselves. Seeing to proactive and preventive settings, animation in many dimensions like theatre, sport, art, games, music, personal accompaniment that can penetrate a person's depths. This is the kind of attention that our tradition has handed down to us, inviting us to be creative in today's new contexts. Faced with such a sad panorama of the wounds of the world of youth, we Salesians stand with the young, because, like Don Bosco, we have ultimate trust in them, and we believe in the promise that they are, in their willingness to take their own future in hand and leave all kinds of poverty behind. Always invest in them. We believe in the value of the individual, in the possibility of a better and different world, and, naturally, in the great power of education. Salesian reference. One evening in April 1847, having had to stay longer in the city because of a sick person, Don Bosco returned to Valdocco late in the evening. Around the neighborhood, a group of about 20 boys began to mock him. "Priests are all stingy," one said. "They are haughty and intolerant," another said. "Let's try him out," cried a third. At these unflattering comments, Don Bosco slowed down and, pretending he hadn't heard them, came up to them. "Good evening, my good friends. How are you?" "Not too good, Father. We are thirsty and haven't any money." "You could buy us all a pint." The others surrounded him, so he could not escape. "I would happily pay for you," Don Bosco said. "But I would like to be with you too." "Go ahead," they replied. Don Bosco kept his word, not just to avoid something worse, but also to try to win over some souls. In the tavern, he had one or more bottles brought along to the lads. When he saw these urchins a bit calmer and in good spirits, he said, "Now, you have to do something for me. Just tell us. We will do not just one, but 2 or 3 things, because from now on we want to be your friends. If you want to be my friends, then you have to stop taking the name of God and Jesus Christ in vain." "You're right. Sometimes a word or 2 escapes us without our realizing it," one of the boys replied. "Good. Now let's leave here and return home. But on Sunday, I expect you at the oratory." "But I haven't got a home," one said. "Me neither," added a second. And some of the others likewise. "So where do you spend the nights?" Don Bosco was aware of the moral dangers they were in. Most of them foreigners, so he said, "Come, the oratory is a home for everyone." Testimony from the Silesian world.
Magandang buhay po sa inyo.
Greetings, everyone. I am Susan T. Garate, a Silesian cooperator and a Silesian educator in Don Bosco Youth Center, Tondo. As an educator, I was able to witness a lot of problems encountered by the youth of Tondo, some of which are financial problems. We have a lot of them, as well as problems at home. For instance, there was this student in garments technology whom one of our Silesian sisters asked me to let stay temporarily in our house because she experienced sexual abuse while living with her relatives, where her mother had left her. But despite this very traumatic experience, she was very determined to graduate here in Don Bosco. The night when her uncle was about to rape her, she was able to escape and found herself inside the compound of the Silesian sisters. And so this good FMA sister asked me to take her in, which I did. She stayed in our house until she graduated and is now living a comfortable life. She is currently working in Saudi Arabia as a tailor. There are many cases of financial problems among the youth. As everyone knows here in Tondo, poverty is a major problem. This is also why we have students here in technical and vocational education and training, TVET, because they can't afford to go to college. We had this trainee who happened to be the eldest child in a huge family from the province, a working student. And because her class schedule overlapped with her working hours, she thought of dropping out, since she was unable to pay for her miscellaneous fees, unless she was working. But because a Silesian priest talked to me, asked me if it was okay if I could let her stay in our house, and if I could be her guardian for the time being, I said yes, and gave her financial support until she finished her course. And I'm very happy because she was able to graduate with flying colors. She is now an employee in a prestigious hotel in Saudi Arabia. And I heard she's already been promoted to a very good position there. She was able to send all her siblings to college. These are just some of the many stories of the young who achieve greatness through difficulty. And just like Don Bosco, TVT's motto, per angusta ad augusta, or through difficulties to greatness, I can see that the youth in Don Bosco Tondo are clearly living by example, that despite all the difficulties, they strive for success, and they haven't let these challenges become an obstacle. So now, they're all living a comfortable life. I hope we don't get tired of listening to the stories of the young. It's worth listening to their stories, because that's how we're able to know them better. And that's how I'm able to know how to help them even in the littlest way possible. Don Bosco once said that, "It is enough that you are young for me to love you." Up until now, this motto is still very relevant and is still reflected everywhere in our youth center. I can see it through our Salesian educators and through our Salesian priests here. I'd also like to thank our lay mission partners for continuing St. John Bosco's mission for the youth. And as a Salesian cooperator, it is my pleasure to help the youth of Tondo, those who are in poverty, and the marginalized youth achieve a better future for themselves. Thank you very much. Entrustment to Mary. Wrap us under your mantle, O Mother, you who at a very young age in Nazareth decided the fate of the world, and help us to extend our arms to all young people. Welcome them into your arms and protect them from evil. Show them your Son and reveal their vocation, to be the hope of the world.
Thank you.